So let's look at Form 6595, the residential energy credits. We pulled up this form from the desire.org's website. We went to the forms on the bottom of the section for the federal rebates, and we looked up the residential energy credit because we're going to install a geothermal system. Again, I am not a tax advisor, but I do want to go over this Form 6595 as it plays out to us as an installer. And I'm just showing this as an installation exercise more so than as a tax consulting video. So I just want to go over it as that. That's my prerequisite that I need to stress, is this is not the end-all be-all, because when I go down to page 3, which covers the general instructions that this form has to follow, there's some guidelines, and each situation of the homeowner will be slightly different between previous installs of renewable energy and energy saving systems, whether it's their primary home or whether it's just a home that they have. I just want to look at the geothermal system. Qualified geothermal system has to be installed properly according to the guidelines set forth by the Energy Star system. So the Energy Star program that is available through the federal government has some set guidelines, and they are telling us that we need to look at it. We were talking about that a few videos ago, where if you went to the desire.org, you went to the federal incentives, and then you investigated what was available to us. There was a link to the Energy Star program, and as you could tell back then, I was like, okay, there's some geothermal, and there are definitely a lot of areas that we have to go to and investigate to be properly done. Here's what we've got. We now know that we've got a geothermal install. We did the cocktail napkin type of incentives that the homeowner says, okay, I know that I'm going to have a payback of roughly somewhere in the 4.9 to 5 year range, 4.6. So we're saying, hey, in about 5 years, this thing will pay for itself. But let's look at how that homeowner gets that money back from this energy installation that they've done. So I'm just going to show you the first page, and then I'll scroll down and restart it on page 2. So here's page 1 of this form, 6595. Let's look at all the points that we had made. We did not install the solar, electric, solar, water, small wind. So we're going to leave our lines 1 through 3 blank. Are we installing a geothermal system? The answer is yes. We originally stated that the value was $18K. That was not the value that we had as qualifying expenses. We cannot take the net of $18,000. We have to take the difference between what we got back, and if you recall, those differences were a $750 rebate from the manufacturer of the heat pump technology, and there was a $1,500 rebate from the co-op, the electrical utility that we're going to install this system at. So there's our incentives. So if you remember from that previous video, our value was our $15,750. So that is our total install cost that that homeowner had to do. So we add all of those up, and that becomes $15,750. That's what goes on to there, and we multiply that by 0.3. That value was $47.25, and that is the total of the tax credit that is potentially available to us. So was there fuel cell involved? No. Because the rules stipulate for a geothermal, it can be your predominant residence, your main residence, or just a home, you will need to put that there. So let's just say it's at somewhere, and then we've got the particular address, but we don't need to worry about that because we're going to skip these lines here, but that's just so you know that's where this would have gone. So we're not going to do that. 9 or 10, again, we don't need to worry about that. And we get the carry forward. Carry forward from 2011. Enter any. Here's where it gets complicated. I'm going to put a red asterisk here because this is, again, not, here is my understanding of it. Let's say this is a brand new homeowner and they have not purchased or done any renewable energy. We don't have to worry about any carryover whatsoever. If we had done some installs from previous, then I got to go back from the 2011 homeowners tax, go to their Form 6595 to that line 32 and add that value there. But we don't have any carryover. If it's a new homeowner with nothing from their previous life, as it were, we leave that blank. We really, in this true sense, and most of the time, will only care about the $47.25. So that is the total amount. So now you got to enter the amount from Form 1040, line 46. Do we have any of your credits? This is where it gets tough. And this is where we're not going to be able to do a whole lot more with this form, because now we're going to have to enter in that value specifically from the residential 1040 form. What you need to know is this is where it potentially could be problematic for us. If they had generally credits and these other credits, so subtract line 15, if you have more credits in that enter zero, you got to enter it there. But if we don't have to worry about any of those, we can then say whatever line is smaller. So generally this typically is going to be 0, and I'm not trying to skate around it, but most residential folks that are going to install a geothermal system is not going to have too many of these credits that are going to roll over. So this value is going to be 4725. That is going to be our credit. This is what we got. And then if you had that, then we could go to line 18 here, carry forward from 2013. Again, I'm not a tax consultant. I'm just merely indicating that the vast majority of us that are going to do this is going to have this credit. We're not going to do rollovers, but that is not always the case. Line 17 is line 13, the energy credit, and then that includes from those previous versions. So I'm going to close this line. Remember 4725. We're going to go now to page 2 of this form 5695. The first question here is, was the qualified move? There are some other issues according to the rules. There says that it does not have to be your main home, but is this in a home that you own? The answer is yes. You cannot have one main home at the time, obviously. Print the complete address. This is kind of where you put that somewhere again. There's your somewhere home address, and then were these made at the construction of this home. This is a tough call because a lot of the homes that we're seeing getting installed are typically installs after the fact. However, it could predominantly be from a brand new home construction. So if it is from a home construction, then you can only claim the non-business energy credit, which then would require you to go home. There have been lifetime limitations. As we said before, were there any values of energy efficiencies done in the previous fiscal years of 2006 through 2011? And you may have to add those. If all of those values of write-offs that you've had from previous years exceed 500, then you cannot take any more deductions. However, if this is a new installation done in an existing home, then we're okay, so we can just continue past 20F and go forward from there. And we don't have to worry about this because we're not going with roofs, exterior windows, energy efficiencies. These are all things that we're not going to do. So I am only specifically looking at a geothermal installation and the cost that is going to be there. All of these lines are not going in there. So I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. So for us, we are still sitting at the 4725 total tax credit that we can then add to the homeowner's 1044. So that is in a very rough overview. Where it gets complicated on this form is if you had previous claims of that lifetime limitation and you had carryover from, say, a solar install that you did last year. I'm specifically looking at a brand new install on an existing home with a geothermal system that maintains that 30% tax credit. And that's what we have here for this.